Hello, everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of Tales from the Fandom, the podcast that brings a special guest out of the multiverse and straight to you. Today, I'm joined by Kavene, although you may know her on Instagram as TheBeautyofSapphires. She is a member of a local Sailor Moon costuming group, and I am so excited to have her join me on the podcast today. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
I am so happy. We have been talking about this for, I think I looked it up earlier. It's like almost like a year and a half of, hey, would you be interested? I'm interested. Hey, what's going on? And then 2020 came and, life happened.
The dreaded 2020.
Oh my goodness. So you and I both are in the same area. In fact, I think at the last convention I went to, I think I saw you in the hall at some point back at Holiday Matsuri in 2019. I believe you were a Mortal Kombat character, but I can't be certain if that is the correct character.
Chances are it was.
Well, how about them apples? I thought I was right, but sometimes I get things wrong too.
So we all.
Now, Kavene, we are here to talk fandom, and we have got a number of different topics that we're going to be talking about today, including talking about cosplay at the end of the podcast, like normally I do with all of my cosplay guests. And shockingly, because you're a part of this Sailor Moon group, cosplay group, one of your fandoms, and I was totally blown away when you listed it, that you wanted to talk about was indeed Sailor Moon.
Yeah, shocker. I know.
It's hard for me to imagine that somebody in a Sailor Moon group would want to talk about Sailor Moon, but here we are. So the obvious first question is, how did you get into Sailor Moon?
So I'm actually from Jamaica, and I consider, because we are a third world country, I feel that we are a decade behind the US. So I started watching Sailor Moon as a little girl, as a lot of fans, started out with, when they were younger. I started watching, oh my goodness, early in the mornings. I believe it was 5 a.m. in the morning. I would get up. I had my cute little alarm. I set it up, secretly so I didn't wake my parents. And at 5 o'clock, I would go into the living room. I would turn on the TV and pray to whoever was up there that the TV wasn't loud enough to wake them up. And of course, my little beating heart was pumping out of my chest, but I would, turn down the volume, and I would just sit there and just get lost in the magical world of Sailor Moon for half an hour.
I guess I'll ask my question in a moment, because you told your story about waking up super early and creeping out there and turning it on, and I feel like I had that same experience when I was a kid, of like my parents would be waking up and they would be like, how are you awake? We didn't hear you at all. How long have you been out here? I totally understand that, like creeping out, and gosh, like trying to hit that mute button so fast, like
Yeah.
just mute it so that way you can turn it to like something where it's not going to be loud, and turn it down and get to the right channel.
Yeah, and I actually I sort of blame Sailor Moon for my bad eyesight now, because the volume was so low. I had to sit very close to the TV to hear what was going on. But of course, I've got to be staring at the TV because all the magical stuff and all the pretty things. So I guess it's a love-hate relationship that I have with Sailor Moon.
Oh my goodness, blaming it on Sailor Moon.
Yep.
That hurts. That hurts the fandom to the core. Now, how did you first come across Sailor Moon? Was it just happening to be on one morning and you found it, and then you were like hooked and drawn in? Did somebody tell you about it? Like where did that love come from?
I boy, that was like so long ago. I think what it was, if I remember right, I wasn't really one to read books. when I was little. I liked my toys, and of course, definitely loved TVs and my video games, of course, at the time. And I think there was a commercial for the lineup late one night that I was watching TV, and it showed Sailor Moon, and of course I'm like, oh my gosh, what is that? And how can I get lost in that world? So I saw the ad, and I just made it my goal. I think that was the only time I was actually ever persistent with something as a little girl.
Now, from the time when you were a little girl watching it to now, like, do you still watch Sailor Moon? What Sailor Moon do you take in? Like, do you still watch the same like classic Sailor Moon? Are you more into like the new one with Crystal? Are you into the live actions? Are you a manga reader of Sailor Moon? Like, what's your Sailor Moon level at this time?
So growing up, I was not introduced to mangas. I came to the US in 2008. Was it 2008 or 2010? I don't remember. Some time ago. So I really did not know about mangas until, I moved to the States a year after moving to the States and joining the anime club at my high school. Um, so I only knew about Sailor Moon through the anime at the time. But now, when they, you know, announced Crystal, I oh my gosh, I don't know if I really did lose my mind or I had a blackout because I was so excited. I was so excited. Um, and I still watch the original anime from time to time. I unfortunately have not kept up with Crystal as of late.
Hmm.
Just, things been happening. I do want to, get into collecting the manga. As much as I know the story, it's nice to just have the physical copy, and who knows, maybe it might be worth a lot later on. But it's definitely something that I keep up with here and there. I'm definitely a part of different groups on Facebook force dedicated to Sailor Moon. So I I stay in the loop somehow.
Okay, I know that Sailor Moon has been around since like forever. And we talked before we started recording that I was like we were gonna not use dates and like get things wrong. So I'm just gonna say Sailor Moon has been around for a long time. Um, I remember when it first came to the United States, like on Cartoon Network, and they had an article in the newspaper about it, like, oh my gosh, Sailor Moon's coming to America. And I was like, what's Sailor Moon? But then I learned more about it and kind of got into it like in my high school and college years. And then it's like a wave. Like I'm on Sailor Moon, I'm off Sailor Moon. Like
Hmm.
but it's ever present. Like it's always there. I joked, I believe, with one of your other group mates, Ashley, where we talked about how if you go to a comic book or a sci-fi convention of any sort, you're always bound to find some form of Sailor Moon cosplay there. Like it's
Yes.
ever present. Like I feel like Sailor Moon will exist for many many years to come because they're still. I mean, like they made Crystal.
Hmm.
And they're still doing stuff over in Japan with the different products that they're putting out there, whether it's like toys or even like they had makeup last year. Like makeup came out. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I personally I feel, Sailor Moon is one of those fandoms that will survive for many, many years because it has so many lessons, and even if you're not there for the lessons or what it's about, you can just appreciate how funny it is, the situations the characters get into. Even with Crystal, it is beautifully done. Won't really talk about the first season, but after the first season, it's beautifully done. The movies that they're doing in Japan, just the banners and the posters for it. I mean, I just want to collect them all and get them as canvases just to put in my room. I mean, they're beautiful. So even if you're not there for the story, you go for the art because it's all beautifully done.
Oh, absolutely. It's always something to look at, not just like the artwork that like is officially like created and put out there, but there's so much great fan art that I've seen and at conventions or you see it online and it's always so amazing to look at and just see like different interpretations and different styles, but it's like everything it's all still Sailor Moon.
Absolutely.
When it comes to a show like Sailor Moon, it's kind of like a boy band. Everyone has their favorite character. Everyone relates to somebody on the show, like because there's like those niche characters. Like if you're like a nerd and you just relate to nerds, like I do, like my favorite inner senshi is Ami, like Sailor Mercury. Like she's
Mhm.
mine. Um, but out of curiosity, like who do you have? Who are your favorites? Like who of the scouts do you gravitate most towards? And that's totally an unintentional pun right there, with gravity. But I said it and I'm living with it.
Well, I can say, you know, just growing up, starting, from the first time I watched Sailor Moon to now, my favorites have changed. At first, as a young girl, I was like, oh my gosh, Sailor Moon's my favorite because, well, she's the leader and she gets all these really cool weapons to use and she's just amazing. She's so cute, But, as I am now, I realize I gravitate, no pun intended, more towards Pluto, which oddly enough is the character that I do cosplay as for so many reasons. She is so elegant. She's so stoic. She's statuesque. I gravitate towards her in more ways than one, both physically and, personality wise. A lot of people who've met me in person or, hangs around with me sees me as a very I guess I would say extrovert. I'm very much an extrovert, and that's just how I am with people. I like to have a good time. I like energies to be high, but really, when I'm home, I'm very much an introvert. I like staying home. I don't usually go out and party. I've really gotten into to books more now. I do read a lot of witchcraft books, things like that, learning more about, the retrogrades. And oddly enough, her love life is pretty much mine right now. So as I get to know even more about Setsuna, I'm over here like, man, sometimes I feel like this character was just made for me. Like the creator knew what I was going to turn into as I got older, so she's like, yeah, I'm going to make this character for Kavene. This is what she's going to be like as an adult.
That is hilarious. I'm saying hilarious like overall. Like I'm not like picking on you because heaven forbid that like that's not cool. I love Setsuna too. Like as far as when I was younger, I only saw like the original like inners, right?
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, Mercury. That's my person is Mercury. But then when my friend was like, "Oh, look, there's like other senshi too," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And people are like all about like Haruka and Michiru. I'm like, okay, Neptune and Uranus. That's cool, but I really dig the one with like the super long hair and like that staff that looks really awesome. Like that's the
Yes.
one I like. Like and I only saw the ones where she showed up like very infrequently. Like she wasn't like
Hmm.
always around or whatnot. I'm like that I like her. Like there's something about her and she's all about like time, but
Hmm.
she's not always there. But you know,
He's
I
just
dig
watching
her.
from
Like,
afar.
I love like the color of her fuku and like her hair and just everything. Everything works for me for Setsuna.
Yeah, her staff is one of the, watching her on TV is one of the things that draws me to her too is I want the staff. It's a ginormous heart key. It's like I want that.
She's the original Keyblade master.
Exactly. Exactly. Like Sora who?
That's right. Sora who indeed. Oh my goodness. With Sailor Moon, we talked about like how it's ever present, omnipresent. It's going to be around for a while. Do you have any favorite like moments in your Sailor Moon experience, in your Sailor Moon fandom? Like anything that just sticks out to you the most about like, wow, like this show has done so much for me, or just an experience that just ties you to the fandom.
Um, oh man, I think I can't really say for sure one particular scene. It's more collective of every time, things look really dim for Sailor Moon and the Scouts or whatever situation that they're in, fighting a really big villain, or, the Scouts are trying to save Usagi. It's those intense moments when you see them come together and they pull that last strength that they have. It's always those moments that really, in a way, gravitate me more towards the anime, and I don't want to let go. It's just it gives me chills every time I watch it, or even just talking about it. Like talking about it now, I'm getting goosebumps. It's just scenes like that where you can't help but get sucked into the moment with them. At least for me, you watch them and you can feel the intensity, you can feel that last bit of energy, and it's almost like it's almost like when with Dragon Ball Z with Goku with his spirit bomb, and you have your hand up because you're like, take my energy too. I'm trying to find a way to give my energy to the Scouts and Sailor Moon because I'm like, I want to help you. So it's those moments that I would have to say are my favorite moments from Sailor Moon. I really can't pick one scene. It's just those scenes that are my favorites.
I'm sitting here like with this big smile. You can't see it because we're not on camera. We're chilling at nighttime, relaxing. But I have this really big smile because as you're talking, I'm like thinking of like that final season of, or the final season, like final episode of like all the scouts are dead and it's just
Mm-hmm.
Usagi, but then they all like come back in spirit form and she defeats the villain, and then they're kind of like resurrected again or brought back to life, but they don't know each other. Find out what happens next time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that particular scene where they died and they forgot they were scouts. And I mean, when I was, and again, it just shows you how much, my mentality has changed, or at least, I would hope it would change between, then and now. But, it's very, I was very selfish when I was young, and I kept saying, man, they need to come, they need to remember, they're Sailor Scouts, they can't forget, they need to come back. And then now as an adult, I'm like, man, they probably should have still not remembered. I could only imagine like the mental stress it puts on them. And a lot of people tend to forget, even just watching the series, they're still teenagers. Well, they're preteens,
Hmm.
through the series. And you've got these girls taking on these villains, literally saving the world. I'm sorry, the universe, So I mean, that's got to put a lot of mental stress. So I mean, there's sometimes I'm like, man, they should have been better if they at least waited till they got older and they've enjoyed their youth. But I was just like, it's all right. It's all right. I'm glad they remembered who they were or who they are, and did all the awesome things. But sometimes I'm like, man, they should have just kept on forgetting for a little bit longer. Enjoy your youth.
Oh gosh, it feels like you're shouting to me like to go back in time and be like, "Hey, enjoy your youth. Don't grow up so fast. You you don't know like yeah, you want to buy things, but there's bills and responsibility."
Exactly. It's like if I could tell myself, it's like, hey, Kavene, enjoy your youth. Just do stuff.
Oh my goodness. All right, getting away from Sailor Moon just for a little bit because we'll be back to Sailor Moon. Another fandom that you're into is something that I've been learning about over the past, I'll say like 5 months. Now I've only been learning about it from guests that have come on because they want to talk about it, and that's cool with me because I'm super busy on like watching my TV shows and movies and trying to keep up with like all the cool stuff that's coming out. And
Yeah.
apparently, like I learned about this fandom through cosplayers because all of a sudden I started seeing some of my cosplayer people that I know, like all pink or all blue and red and yellow. And I'm like, number one, like that's dedication.
Mm.
Dedication, if you're doing the body, like going the body paint route, I'm like, that's a lot of work.
Mhm.
But I found out what it was, and I've had a few discussions about the fandom, which is Lore Olympus. I haven't read it yet, so I guess how did you first stumble across Lore Olympus? Are you someone that stumbled across it like seeing other people's cosplay, like I did, and get into it, or did you know about it beforehand? Like,
Mm.
what's your journey there?
Oh my goodness. So I owe my new addiction to Ashley. She's the one that introduced me to Lore Olympus. I honestly, before she mentioned about it to me, I didn't know anything about it. And Lore Olympus recently celebrated its 3-year anniversary, which is amazing. I didn't realize it was going on for that long. Like you, I was introduced to it very recently, sometime last year, I believe. I want to say it was in the middle of last year. Ashley brought it up to me, and I said, okay, it's COVID. I'm not going anywhere, so I might as well, see what this is about. And I instantly fell in love. Oh my goodness, the artwork, the story, just how relatable the characters are. Oh, it's genius in a sense.
What is it? What is it about the story that attracted you so much that you had to get into this web series?
So the first thing that definitely caught my eye was the concept of using Greek mythology. So Hades, Zeus, those gods and goddesses, but with a contemporary twist. So, we're used to when we hear Greek mythology, gods and goddesses, we think, togas and sandals and, Greece. But in the story, they really do, or the creator really does mix that because I mean they do have moments where they wear their traditional garments, their togas, um, but the creator also mixed in contemporary looks, as far as styles like suits and ties and cocktail dresses, which was great. So it didn't feel, for those who don't follow Greek mythology or don't know much about Greek mythology, isn't necessarily a requirement to understand or follow along with this series because it doesn't really get too much into the Greek mythology of things, but it's still incorporated in the story, and there's little snippets of here and there about the lore of the gods and goddesses of Greek mythology, which is nice. So Ashley actually has a friend that's really into Greek mythology, and from time to time when we read the new chapter that comes out on Saturdays, um, and we're not sure of of this new god or goddess that showed up or a certain situation that they were talking about, Ashley will ask them, and they'll kind of give her a bit of a lesson. um, but not it. But again, it's not a series where you need to know about Greek mythology, or you have to at least followed some of it to understand the series. It's very easy for anybody to get into, even without knowing about Greek mythology. So it's a great series in my opinion.
I have heard good things about it. I love the style of the artwork. I think one of the things that attracted me the most, obviously, aside from seeing the people cosplaying it, was just how striking the characters look with the different colors to them. Like there is something about it where they just pop off the screen, and just seeing it's something that just it catches your eye and it draws you in, and it immediately, like, it makes you want to know more about that character or more about what's going on. And I've seen it enough times pop up to where I'm like, I know I'm going to have to do it at some point. I just don't know when, but I know it's coming. I know that 2021 is the year of I'm gonna have to, like, dive into it.
Mm. Yes, well, let me tell you, it is if you're just starting the series, I recommend starting it when you have like a whole day of doing nothing, because you will get so sucked into the story that you will not want to stop reading until the latest chapter. And if you're like some people, no shade, but does the fast pass on the chapters, you just want to keep reading. So unless you have good restraint, I recommend, getting really into this on a day where you can just sit there and just read the series. It is so captivating.
Oh my, oh my. Like, I know somebody that has the fast pass. That's one where it lets you, like, look at it early,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they have it because I guess there's a way that you can, like, there's a website, and you like, it tracks, like, how, like, what you're browsing, and it gives you points, and then you can turn them in for, like, the webtoons, like, fast pass thing. And I'm like, she's always like, I can't, like, when it drops, I have to be reading it, like, right then, because she's like, otherwise I'll get spoiled. I have to see what's going on, and be, ready for it. And then she's like, I'm crushed, because then she has to wait for the next one.
Yeah, it's so funny because Ashley and I mean we still are just so into the series. It actually got to a point where Ashley would was my alert that the new chapter came out, because she would text me, in big letters, exclamation points, Laura Olympus. And I would text back, I'm on it. And I would read the chapter, and there's times where the actual notification to let me know that the new chapter dropped is either while I'm in the middle of reading the new chapter, or once I'm done and I'm on the phone talking with Ashley about the latest chapter. so so if and there are times where I message her instead, so we keep each other on our toes with the series for sure. I mean, there are other series that we're into, but this one is tops for sure.
With Greek mythology, there's, like, a plethora of characters that you've got. Do you have a favorite, or, like, a couple favorites? Like, who do you enjoy in that in Lore Olympus?
Hades.
Well, that was quick. I guess I should have drawn that out, like, a little bit more, like, Hades, like, just straight off the bat, Hades.
Yes, and I mean, I really okay. First of all, just I mean, if you haven't seen the man, you need to see the man. I mean, good God. He's there's so many reasons why I absolutely love Hades. but Hades, Hera, um, Demeter, and Persephone. I would say those are my and Hecate. Those five characters are my top characters that I absolutely love. Hades. I absolutely love Hades because, well, to me, he is the man I can't have because he doesn't exist. If I had my way, if I had, and say, hey, if you could base a boyfriend off of any character, fictional or non-fictional, who would be Hades? I'll even take the blue skin too. Demeter. I love Demeter. She is, Persephone's mom, which is I also do cosplay Demeter to Ashley's Persephone. She has that mom vibe. She is a little crazy in her own way. She's very protective. If anything, she has a feel that resonates with Setsuna from Sailor Moon. That they both have someone to protect, which is kind of weird now that I think about it. Setsuna has green hair, Demeter has green skin. Chibi Moon is pink and Persephone is pink. So okay, I just realized that just now. Oh my goodness. So yeah, the whole motherly instinct, that need to protect your baby. I love that with Demeter. Persephone, she's just the cutest little thing. I just want to pinch her cheeks. She's so adorable. And, she's so sheltered. I feel bad at how sheltered she is, but I'm loving to watch her grow as a person in the series. Hera, I mean, good heavens, she's the goddess of all gods, and just how her personality is a very no BS type, and I love that about her because that's how I am as well. She's very straight to the point. She doesn't put up, well, she puts up with Zeus. Bless her heart. She gets major kudos for dealing with that man. Um, Hecate, she is Hades' assistant, and she's just amazing. I mean, good grief, man! If you haven't read it to really understand Hecate, when you do, I feel like you'll understand my passion for for that character. Love her.
Oh my goodness. Now, I had noticed that you had cosplayed a few times out of the lore Olympus. I was like, okay, I see it. I see where it's going here. But Hades, as like the ideal, ideal person for you. I'm like, okay, I gotta read it now because I'm familiar with like a not so nice like Hades, so I need to know what's going on with this Hades.
Yes, believe me, there is two different Hades, and I want the one from Lore Olympus.
Oh my, oh my.
Yes.
All right. So hopefully this year will be my year of Lore Olympus, and I know that I've had enough people tell me about it to where I can safely say maybe if you're listening, go check it out. See if you agree with Kavene about Hades. Let me know. Just comment on an Instagram post or something or Twitter, and let me know if you agree or not. Because I'm curious about that. I need to know. I need to know for scientific fandom purposes about Hades.
Yes.
All right. There's another fandom that I've watched like a few episodes, but my kids decided that they were going to go ham on it. Like they watched everything more than once. I don't know what happened to them because they just went all in on My Hero Academia. How did you get into it? Because all I did was give them permission to watch it because they had heard that it was good from their cousin, and their cousin was like, "You guys need to watch My Hero Academia. It's so good." all of a sudden they're like, "Yeah, we've watched all 4 seasons and we're watching it again." I'm like, "What? What?" So how did you
Oh.
get into My Hero Academia?
So I actually didn't get into it until very recently. I know it's been out since for a couple of years now, I believe, since 2019. I, it's been out for a hot minute, and I remember seeing on Facebook and Instagram, just news wise too, about this anime called My Hero Academia. And I'm one of those people where if an anime gets too much hype, I sort of lose interest in wanting to actually watch it. You know,
I know
so
I know that very distinctly from myself and other people. We're like, "Oh, no, it's got too much hype. I
yeah.
can't watch it with you right now."
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't have any interest in watching it while it was, the big thing on the market. So it wasn't until I don't remember what it was. I think it was on TikTok that I started seeing, thirst traps for Shota Aizawa. And all I could think to myself is, wow, he has such a lovely voice. I need this man to read me bedtime stories. So I finally, sat down because I didn't really have an anime to watch or that I was actively going to pick up and watch again. Um, and it was on Hulu. So I said, okay, I'll start this. So I actually binge watched the first season in one sitting, and I was hooked. I was very interested in that series, and just watching through it, I really understood why I had a lot of people actually say that it's just like Naruto. Um, you know, because I went in with that in the back of my head, and I at first I couldn't really see it, but then two and two equal fish, and I was like, oh, okay, I see where they're getting at as far as why they would say that. But I really enjoyed the series, really enjoyed the series. To me, it really is this generation's version of Naruto. So I mean, I even find myself not doing the ninja run anymore. I do the finger flick thingamabob, what Deku does. I forgot what he calls it, but just that flick with his finger, and he breaks it. I find myself doing it more often.
Oh, I'm just picturing like the Naruto run, like, you know, uh, so many years of Naruto running.
Yes, and now find myself doing that darn Deku flick.
I remember not last year, it must yeah, cuz last year Halloween was canceled. So
Mhm.
the year before, so 2019, uh again, the same cousin that told my kids that they should watch My Hero, we had her over for Halloween, and she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be Dobby." And I'm
Oh
like,
my gosh.
"You're going to be a house elf?" And and she's like, "No, it's from My Hero." And she showed us a picture. I'm like, "Oh, that has no bearing on the Dobby that's in my head at this point." And then, as an older person at this time, like, because I watched Naruto, I watched, and I was in the trenches watching all the filler episodes, waiting for new episodes for years. And then then it became Shippuden, and then I kind of fell off the wagon at that point because it's just a lot. But
Mm.
I was like, okay, yeah, I gotcha. Like, there's a newfangled anime show. Uh, my kids, though, they're all about like the quirks
Mhm.
and talking like, and I'm old. I'm old. Like, I've watched it. I'm like, okay, like, I think I watched it up to the point where the green Deku, the green haired, that's Deku, right? The one that's getting the all
Deku,
might
yeah.
power. Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
so I've watched up to where he has gone into the academy, I guess, for like the first day, and that's as much as I've watched, and like I dug it, but now you're telling me it's like Naruto. I'm like, okay, if it's this generation's Naruto, like I might have to just check it out to see like how wackadoodle the show gets.
Yes, it really does get wackadoodle because, when I was watching it, I'm like, there were some at some points I'm like, I don't see how it's so similar to Naruto. And then just watching more and more of it, I was like, oh, not in a bad way, but just I get it now. I mean, it's still a great anime for sure, but I'm pretty much on the side of with people when they say, it's very much like Naruto. It's this generation's version of Naruto. So I'm there with y'all.
Oh my goodness. Now with the show, the again, I know that there's a huge cast. In fact, somebody had told me, they're like, yeah, what's great about this show is that sometimes like characters leave and new characters show up and you get to fall in love with them. And it's just like a continuous cycle of like, oh, well, here's a character, but oh, we've got this great new character that you get to check out. Who do you love? Who are your characters? And I heard some noise when I mentioned Dobby. Like, it
Ah.
is are you anti Dobby? And every time I say that name, like even though I know like there's the purple skin and it looks like got some stitches or something, I just see a house elf and I can't get past that.
I know, believe me. I really can't say like if I'm talking with someone and my mom's around, I really can't say Dobby because she will also think of, the house elf and that is her favorite character from Harry Potter.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, she loves Dobby. Um, but as far as with My Hero Academia, my favorite characters, Shota Aizawa for sure. Hawks. I love I love what's her name? Oh goodness, not fr- she's from the other school. Kami? I think I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Kami, but she can, change into different people for a short period of time. That's her quirk, or give the illusion of someone else. But just the way she speaks, she's she's hysterical. I watch her in the anime and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're an actual character. But I love Principal Nezu. I don't think he gets enough airtime. But I love that principal. That one episode, when we finally got to see his quirk, I I couldn't understand my feelings towards Principal Nezu. I'm not gonna lie. I absolutely loved him. He's he's a little maniac.
Now, I had to Google, right, like because I'm not familiar with this Principal Nezu character, and I'm seeing is Principal Nezu like a panda or a mouse?
He's if I remember correctly, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, but he was experimented on. So I can't remember if he was a rat or what animal he is. I honestly do not remember, but I remember he was experimented on. So he's able to speak um, human language, and he has the quirk and of what is it, the butterfly effect, I believe, or the chain reaction is his quirk, and it's just great, just seeing him finally be himself and use his quirk. I think we need to see more of Principal Nezu use his quirk, and that's just me. He's just great to watch because if you want that small amount of just controlled chaos, yeah, that's definitely your guy animal. person.
And I had to look up Shota Aizawa because the name didn't ring a bell, right? I'm like, okay, I
Mhm.
don't know who that is, and I see that it's the sleeping bag guy.
Yes.
Like so now like my experience has been seeing him in his sleeping bag in that one episode, and then I've seen people in conventions like and I see it on the in pictures of
Mhm.
people just going into a sleeping bag, setting up somewhere and just like laying like
Yep, and that's him. We'll see, and this is one of the things that really got me saying, "Oh my gosh, yeah, this anime is very much like Naruto." He's Kakashi. He's the
no.
Kakashi. Yes, and let me tell you why. Kakashi in the anime is very laid back, always late, just doesn't have a care in the world. At least to Team 7 when they were just getting to know him, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's not in any kind of immediate danger, he's got his little dirty book and he's always reading, not a care in the world.
Right, right. Yep.
Shota
Yep.
Aizawa is, very laid back. He has his he has his moments where he's very intense, but in a very lazy way, I guess. He threatens his students on a regular basis to the point where they're just like, is this real, or are you just telling us so that we'll bring our A game? He sleeps most of the time, but both those characters, Kakashi and Aizawa, both love their students dearly, would die for them, and have very very much come close to it on more than one occasion, and only wants the best for their students, and trust them wholeheartedly. So, I mean, I absolutely love Kakashi and I absolutely love Shota Aizawa. So when I saw him for the first time, I'm like, oh no, there's another husbando now to my list.
Another husbando.
Yep, just what I needed, another husbando.
Oh gosh. I know like are there more seasons of My Hero? I think a movie came out, didn't it? Maybe I'm
Yes, a
mistaken.
movie came out, and season 5, I believe will be dropping soon. So I'm super excited for that.
Okay. See, they are going the Naruto route of like here's some seasons and then we're going to do some movies. But the movies aren't going to maybe like I know with the Naruto movies like the movies didn't connect with the TV show at all. Like it's like, "Oh,
It was an
here's some random
extended filler.
adventure that they go on and okay."
Yeah, it was like an extended filler.
Yes, because we needed more.
Of course, we didn't have enough.
Oh my. All right. Well, we've talked about a lot of fandom, and I know we sprinkled in some cosplay talk in between there, but now we've reached the cosplay portion of this conversation. And obviously, number one, with like probably I'd probably say 50% of my guests at this point or more have the cosplay background, the cosplay fandom, what they're into, because on Instagram, it's super easy to find people that are into fandoms because cosplayers sweat, blood, and you know tears uh making these cosplays that are just phenomenal.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, people that do all that probably maybe want to talk about them to somebody like me to record for a podcast, and that's how I find a number of my people is through Instagram, which is a wonderful service for finding cosplayers. I guess the start of the question that I'm trying to get out of my mouth right now is how did you get into cosplay? Like, what was it about cosplay that it was like, hey, let's do this?
Oh my gosh. So, back in Jamaica, we don't have conventions, we don't do cosplays, things like that. Um, when I say that quote unquote nerds were very small and very off to the side, I am not exaggerating. I remember my time back home because I did half of my high school years in Jamaica, the last half in the US. While I was in high school in Jamaica, in my grade, at least I can remember, there was a handful of people that really knew about anime, and did drawings, did fan arts, things like that. And I was the only female. I was the only girl that knew about animes. Could not draw, still can't. But I did watch the shows so I could keep up with conversations with the others. This gave me major kudo points with the guys. They're like, oh my gosh, a girl knows, it's like back in the day. But so when I came to the States, I think it was my last year in high school, my senior year was when I was really introduced to conventions. I graduated, oh my God, I'm dating myself, but I graduated high school in 2011. And during that year was when, we had the anime club, and we decided that we were going to go to MegaCon. And that was my first convention ever. And it was my first time cosplaying. Because, they, others were talking about it, and little old me was just sitting there, looking at them, uh, bright eyed, bushy tailed, and I'm asking, what is this that you speak of? And they explained it to me. It's like, yeah, it's this great convention that happens where cosplayers get together, and people dress up as different characters, and they have fun, and there's a rave, and there's an area where people sell things that you can buy, like whatever. And I mean, I pretty much had an anime moment of having sparkles in my eyes as I'm listening to them, because I was so excited. This was brand new to me. And I went to MegaCon. That was my first convention ever in 2011. And I had so much fun. And that was my beginning of my obsession with conventions and cosplaying.
And it was all downhill from there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Downhill.
It's always I love the stories like what you told about not knowing what, like, not knowing really about the convention and going and being like, oh wow, like it's just like the light just bings above your head, like being like, oh my gosh, this is real and I can do this.
I
It, it's
know.
it's just one of those stories that I've heard. It's very rare though. Like I hear it like just randomly going to like a convention or going with friends, and then it's just like cosplay, and that's it. Like that's all that there is that you just go from there. So with once you got that drive that I got a cosplay. What was your first cosplay that you did?
Okay. So my first cosplay um was Sebastian Michaelis from Black Butler, because that was, I believe, yeah, that was the first anime outside of Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Inuyasha, Yu Yu Hakusho, um, that I have seen while I was back home. I was introduced to Black Butler, absolutely fell in love with it, absolutely love Sebastian. I didn't know that that was a thing that you could dress up as characters and go together with other people and just bask in the love of anime, manga, and all things nerdy. So that was my first cosplay, but my I consider Sailor Pluto as my first official cosplay, because that was my first cosplay that I made entirely by myself. So I've got more hype personally. I've got more hype towards the Sailor Pluto than the Sebastian, because I had a lot of help. Not shit, not shading, not bad talking about Sebastian's cosplay, But I was really and truly proud of myself for doing Sailor Pluto, and why I tend to consider it as my first official cosplay because I did that by myself.
I have to say, um, I think when it comes to people, especially like not me, because I've talked with enough like Sailor Scout cosplayers at this point. People look at like the Sailor Scout Fuku, right, and they're like, eh, you know what, that's not hard. That looks easy. And talking to like, because I've talked with a number of like the Orlando Sailor Scouts here. I've talked with a number of like the Cosmic Coterie people out in Texas and other Scout cosplayers. That Fuku is like a labor of love, and sometimes I don't know how you as a cosplayer like survives making that Fuku, because there's so many intricate steps that goes into doing that, and it's just like it amazes me. And I'm always like, whenever somebody says that they made their own Fuku, it's like, oh my goodness, you have like done something which is incredible.
Yeah, there is a lot of patterns, and you can piece different patterns together to create a fuku. But, I have, I currently have Sailor Pluto 3.0 in the works, for Sailor Guardians of Central Florida. And let me tell you, I know there are a lot of cosplayers that can empathize with me when I say that, I like to be a perfectionist with my cosplays. So I like to have the details very, very close to, my inspiration, which is the 90s version of Sailor Pluto. And there's just so many things that really go into that fuku. It is unbelievable. That's why if I ever see a Sailor Moon cosplayer and, we're talking and they tell me that they made their outfit, listen, they get major praises from me because for someone who has, attempted to do it on more than one occasion, um, successful and not, it is a lot. You look at it and, at first glance you're thinking, oh, it's just a skirt and a collar and a leotard. It's fine. No, let me stop you right there. The bane in my existence with the fuku itself is that skirt and hip roll. The skirt is just so much fabric. It's gorgeous when it's done, and I have a thing with swishing, but oh my gosh, it draws. If it could gather all the blood that it's drawn for me, it could probably go to the blood bank like in 2 liter bags, you know. But I mean, and that, I guess that's one of the reasons why I consider the Sailor Pluto cosplay that I did all by myself as really my first official cosplay, because there was so much that went into it. And again, a lot of people say blood, sweat, and tears. It is not an exaggeration. I cried. I poked myself so many times, and there was just days where things had to be so precise to get it done, like to sew it together. I'm literally sweating. Hoping that it actually, feeds through properly and there's no little holes that missed a stitch. So yes, it is literally blood, sweat, and tears making, a Sailor Moon cosplay.
Indeed, like uh, so much respect for people that make the Fukus. It's just I got no word. I don't have any words. I should try to grammar better a little bit too. Um, but it's wonderful, and I love, and that's, I think that probably is one of the first photos of you that I had come across on your Instagram, was you as Sailor Pluto. And previously, like I said, I love Sailor Pluto as one of my favorite Sailor Scouts, and therefore any chance I get to talk to people about, Sailor Pluto, or follow and check out the outfit, is always a great time. On top of Sailor Pluto, you've done a number of other cosplays. Do you have any like particular favorites that you're like, you know what, I love this cosplay, or this cosplay like was so much fun to wear at the convention because it like lots of people are like, oh my gosh, you're cosplaying this character.
I so probably my favorite cosplay to wear is Jade from Mortal Kombat, and I know Jade has many versions, which it's my goal to accomplish every version of her, every canon version of her. Um, but the one that I have worn the most is her Deception version, which is my personal favorite of all of them. She when I wear that cosplay, I feel empowered, because I feel sexy, but I also feel, very strong, very independent. And I'm not gonna lie, it's very suggestive, but I mean, it is Mortal Kombat and it is a female character. But, but, it's very empowering to wear it, so it's probably my favorite to wear out of all that I've done so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I have more memories with Jade.
Now, out of curiosity, what is it about Jade that is like you must do all her different outfits? Like, why? I gotta know why.
Of all the lovely ladies in the Mortal Kombat world, I feel that Jade does not get enough love. You know, I mean, at one point in early on in the games, I believe it wasn't until Mortal Kombat 3 that she was even a playable character. Um, and they killed her off later on in the game, and I believe it was Mortal Kombat 10 that she died, or 9 that she died, and 10 she wasn't in it. And the new one she came back as a revenant, but I just don't think she gets enough love, and I want to bring her more to the Mortal Kombat scene, because you see a lot of you know Mortal Kombat cosplayers. A lot of them do Katana, Melina. You even see a lot of Sonya Blade.
Hmm.
Which is great. That's great. But I mean, Jade is so cool too. She's just been such a loyal friend and bodyguard to Kitana, and they're all pretty much more of sisters than her and Melina. It's like, how can you not give her that the extra love and attention like the other two? So that's been my personal goal, is to bring each of her versions more to light. I want her to be on that pedestal just like the other girls.
Okay, I can totally respect that. That's a good answer right there. Uh, I like that answer. Now, with cosplayers, and 2020 threw everything off because I hated it for all of my friends who cosplay, that were like, oh, there's no conventions. On the plus side, there weren't people really like con crunching, which made me happy a little bit, because it wasn't like, people getting stressed out and trying to like finish things and staying up late and whatnot. So it's the dual thing of no cons but no con crunching.
Mm.
um but with cosplayers generally, people have a list, and I know you have like every Jade character costume on that list. but what else is on your list? Like, what other characters do you eye and you're like, I'd like to do that character?
There's a good amount of them. I actually, thanks to Ashley, I started doing a cosplay journal, which was very helpful in with me organizing my characters and what needs to get done on them. So currently, I have Mercury from Shazam, from the live action movie. I have Princess Tiana. I do want to do her, signature leaf ball gown as well as the blue dress from the beginning of the movie. Um, I have, oh my goodness, what else do I have? I can't even think. But there's a good amount of them. I believe it's Utana. I believe her name is that my best friend we had talked about doing before from the anime Utana. Have not seen it,
Okay.
but I mean I looked at the outfits and they're super adorable. So um, there's characters here and there that I'm like I want to do this character too, but I've got so much on my list. And there's always some kind of inspiration for me to continue doing one over the other. Like um right now my big hype is the Revenant Jade, because a friend of mine, he is doing Kotal Khan, which I didn't know that at one point they were lovers. So we just had the crazy idea, like, especially in, with the Mortal Kombat movie coming out, we're like, hey, are you bored? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do Kotal Khan. All right, cool. I'll do Revenant Jade. Above all the other characters or the other versions of Jade that I have. Yeah, I'm just going to go with the latest one. It's totally fine.
I get that. Like, and especially when it comes to having somebody else to like bounce off of and be like, hey, let's do this. Like, it's always easier. It's always like, okay, you know what? I'll shove everything to the side so I can do this, because
Yeah.
it's yeah. You got like a partner in crime.
Yeah, let me add another unfinished job to my list. As much as I have all these others that I have started in one form or another, let me just put those aside and just start this one where I'm gonna start it and move on to something else again.
Oh my. Now, we talked about you being a Sailor Moon cosplayer, you being a part of a Sailor Scout group here in Central Florida. So what's the group? What are you doing? Tell me more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I am a co-founder and co-leader for Sailor Guardians of Central Florida. We are a brand new group. We officially started this year. Getting past COVID, we're like, hey. So, we have a group of some amazing cosplayers who we are very gracious to work with. We have all the scouts, inners, outers. We have some villains. We do have Princess Kakyu as well. We do have some spots open for our starlights. We have one starlight, which is Maker. So we are in search of a healer and fighter. So I believe that's right. I believe it's Maker that we have. Oh my goodness. um, I am the scheduling officer for the group, which is kind of funny because I deal with schedules and time, and I am also the guardian of time for the group. So I guess it's only fitting. But yes, we are a brand new Sailor Moon group for the Central Florida area. We do photo shoots. Currently we actually did our first photo shoot last month, which was a lot of fun. Those pictures will be, should be posted, sometime next month. So definitely look out for that. We are on Instagram. We are on Facebook. We are, willing to collaborate with other cosplayers if they're wanting to, you know, for whatever reason, want to add to their list and do a villain of some sort and just come hang out with us, safely, of course, with COVID still going on. We are absolutely here. If anybody wants to coordinate, they can absolutely get with me directly. Again, I do the scheduling for the group, but yeah, we are a group of cosplayers that like to dress up and have fun. We're hoping, when conventions are back up safely, we can make appearances. Of course, with us being a big group, we are very conscious about social distancing and just being safe for everyone's health and well-being. But yeah, definitely check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Central Guardians. Wait, what did I say? Sailor Guardians of Central Florida. Try saying that name 3 times fast. I dare anybody to do it. But yeah.
Awesome. I know I've been following. I think I've been following once I saw the notification that y'all were starting, because I know that some of you had been a part of a previous group that I'd also been following, and then like this group formed, and I was like, okay, great, like more people that I can follow that live in my area.
Yeah, it was very sad. It was very sad to say goodbye with Sailor Guardians of Orlando, because it was disbanded sometime last year. Oddly enough, very much just before COVID. It's very sad to have the group be disbanded, but in place of it, a new group blossomed. A lot of we have a few people that's currently in the group that was in the group before, myself included. But I still talk with the other group members from the past group. We still get along very well. We actually, some of us actually go roller skating from time to time. Not a bunch of us, maybe 1 or 2 here and there, because we're all still trying to be as safe as possible. But we miss each other, so we at least want to see each other in person and give air hugs, things like that. But yeah, so unfortunately, with Sailor Guardians of Orlando no longer being active, Sailor Guardians of Central Florida flourished, and we're hoping, to carry on the legacy that they had before. It was a great group, but of course, some things do have to come to an end. But with that happening, a new group started. So, we still get a lot of support from old members, which is great. So it's not like we were left on bad terms or anything. It was just time to say goodbye.
Right, a natural progression of going from something, and at least, like, the timing worked out with COVID, kind of like.
Yeah, I thought about it too, and I'm like, man, it worked out because we were. Can you imagine us trying to still keep up and do group things with COVID? I think we would have driven ourselves nuts. Be like, we can't do anything. We're literally trapped in our homes right now.
That is right. You're trapped in your homes. You're stuck.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked out for the best.
That's right. Now, for people that have listened and they want to check your work out, they want to see your eventual, like, more Jade cosplays, or check out what you do. Where can they find you out here on the wonderful world of the internet?
Oh, well, if you guys want to follow me, the best place to do that, especially if you're wanting to see a lot of cosplay content, is my Instagram, which is TheBeautyofSapphires. I do post majority of my cosplays there. On Facebook, not so much. I don't have a separate cosplay page just yet. I'm still, working on content to create a page and, get more content to be flowing in. So you guys aren't bored or anything. But just for keeping up with me, Instagram is your best bet. So that's the Beauty of Sapphires.
Okay, and then with the Sailor Guardians, same thing. But I know you said that I think Instagram and Facebook for that one, correct?
Yes, for our group, Sailor Guardians of Central Florida, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook. They are linked together, but if you, for whatever reason, if you can't find the group or something's going on, again, you can reach out to me separately via Instagram, and I can help you get to the right link. I know it's like a long word, it's all one word. So I know there's like a letter maybe missed here and there. It's totally fine. Words are hard.
Words are hard. However, I will say that if you're listening and you want to go check it out, the links will be in the show notes. So that way you can click here, you can click on the Tales from the Fandom Facebook page, the website, you can click and it'll take you directly to it. So that way, wording, you won't have to do the words will be there for you, instantly accessible, so that way you can just click and go there.
Awesome sauce.
Well, Kavene, we are at the end of this episode, so I just want to take the time to thank you for taking your time to come and talk to me tonight.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I'm glad you gave me the time to give you the time to talk about the Guardian of Time.
That's right. Because I was going to go there. You got there first. You got there first. I'll allow it because you're the guest.
Woo!
Thank you for listening to Tales from the Fandom. Subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcast app of choice. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/talesfromthefandom to see photos, links, leave feedback, and check out upcoming guests. If you'd like to be a guest, email David at talesfromthefandom@gmail.com.